this, I'm just going to go into a little bit of what exactly is human trafficking. Really, the key term is human sex trafficking, and it is the forced commercial sex for money. So these traffickers will find young girls, or they'll not necessarily find them, they'll maybe lure them in with giving them false promises, telling them that they'll house them. Most of these girls are runaways, and they usually kind of just force them into commercial sex to try to make them pay back the money that they owe, that they loan them, or so forth and so forth. These girls are kept in fear by mostly, have you guys ever seen the movie Taken?
Yeah.
How they were taken overseas and they kept the girls in those rooms and they were really bad conditions. The girls were drugged and basically beaten and kept in fear in order to kind of control them and use their willpower. So it's one of the largest growing businesses of organized crime. It brings, according to Fox News, an article on foxnews.com by Lisa Well, she stated that it brings in about $8 million each year, and it's nearly 20,000 victims are trafficked each year. The Polaris Project says that when people are forced into commercial sex, and they usually pick on young women or even boys that have a history of abuse or neglect in their family. So they're really kind of in a vulnerable state, and they don't really have anything else to do but to turn to maybe just following what these people are telling them. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys a little video about, I can't click on it. It's supposed to be, I guess I can just go.
You can highlight and then copy and paste.
This is Ted Asher with a public notice for Southern California Edison customers. Do you own your home? Is your monthly electric bill over $50? For a limited time, you can apply for government rebates to install solar panels on your roof for zero money down. This opportunity is only available for Southern California Edison homeowners with monthly electric bills over $150. To apply for zero down solar before the deadline, call Varengo Solar at 800-576-0300.
Selling young girls for sex, human trafficking is a $32 billion a year industry, and it's not just happening in dark alleys on the other side of the world. It's happening right here in Southern California. As KCAL9's Melanie Woodrow shows us, the girls sold and forced into this business are younger than you'd ever imagine.
I was 13.
Before these girls were even old enough to drive,
When I was 15,
Kim sold them for sex.
I was scared.
To insiders, it's called the game. To outsiders, it's human trafficking or modern-day slavery.
I was just stuck.
So how do girls that could be going to the mall or movies end up here on what's known as the track, playing dress-up for someone else's fantasy?
Phone's constantly ringing, and I mean, you can only answer so many calls. I didn't sleep a lot.
Kim, not her real name, ran away from home at 15.
My mom was like really abusive.
On the street, she met another girl who said she could make money dancing, but left her in a stranger's house.
It just so happened that the guy ended up to be a pimp.
Kim said her pimp initiated her with a beating.
He welcomed me into the game.
Amber, not her real name, was also duped. At 13, her 16-year-old so-called friend dropped her off at his uncle's home.
Basically kind of sold me to him for marijuana.
Barely a teenager, Amber said she immediately understood. Amber said her mother was a prostitute and her father, her mother's pimp.
That's all I ever knew.
Once both girls were in the game, it seemed there was no way out.
He told.
Okay, so that's just a little clip on some real life stories. And in this documentary, it goes on further. There's detectives and they're searching for, I guess, the track that they mentioned, and they really kind of walked down Long Beach Boulevard and Compton Boulevard, which is kind of not too far from here. So I thought that maybe, at first I just thought human trafficking was something that happened overseas. You know, I was like, oh, well, you know, they're just selling women, that's sad. I can't really do anything to help it because it's so far over there. But really it kind of touched home when I heard that they were right there on Long Beach Boulevard and Compton Boulevard. And I also did a little bit more research on some cases. There was a 17-year-old young girl who ran away. She met a man who took her out. He gave her nice things. He let her move into his home, and then once she moved in, he kind of said, well, hey, we have to pay the rent, so you know, you can go engage in sex with him. And he would pick whoever she would have sex with, and she kind of felt as if she was, like she owed him something because he had took her in after she ran away. Until one day she was raped by a customer, and she went to the hospital, and when she went to the hospital, she got in contact with a service member from a group called the Polaris Project, as I mentioned earlier. They gave her the care that she needed, and they put her in a home to where they changed her name, they gave her a new car to drive, they kind of set her up with a part-time job and kind of set her on her feet. And then also I'm going to mention another young lady named Keisha, who also ran away because she was in a foster home and she was being molested by one of her foster family members. And so when she ran away, she met a 30-year-old man who told her, you know, I'll take care of you, you look hurt, I'll take you back to your real family. And once brought back to Florida, she was, he kind of had her walking the streets, and she ended up getting arrested and sent to juvenile hall. And when she got out, he beat her because she wasn't making the money that he really wanted from her. And now I'm going to move on to some of the causes. As I mentioned before, most of the girls are runaways from home because they've been neglected or abused. And another cause that I found is on the media. A lot of people kind of look over it, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen those hotline commercials with the young girls. In that documentary that I just showed, the detectives went on to find that there was actually websites where they were selling young women called Backpage.com and Redbook. Like they kind of had the ads like, you know, come call me, come spend some time with me, and they had the prices on there, they had descriptions of the young women, but they never actually said the age. They always said young and, you know, young and thriving, or young and happy, or because if they were minors, then that would be a red flag already, you know. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to what can we do to help. First thing we can do is to become familiar with the red flags. And some of the red flags are maybe if the person seems anxious or fearful, they're avoiding eye contact. Maybe if the person is showing signs of depression, they can't leave their workplace, they have secrecy of where they're living, and maybe unexplained signs of physical abuse. And also there's groups that help to raise awareness, as I'm trying to right now. And before I came across this topic, I really didn't find an interest in becoming active, but now after seeing those stories, it kind of like alerted me to become a little more active. Even I looked up some research, and you can even start groups at school and raise awareness, and there's hotlines that you can call. And well, the hotline is right there. And yeah, being educated is the first step.